This episode is made possible by NetSuite by Oracle and Brex, the AI-powered spend platform.
Hi, it's Tucker Marshall, Chief Financial Officer of the J.M. Smucker Company. You're listening to the CFO Thought Leader podcast.
This is episode 1028.
We looked into the processes, into the applications, and we decided to implement a new ERP system. And with the ERP system, improve our process management, network capital management, cash management, but most importantly, also winning more business insights that then also we can share with the business and have a stable backbone. And with this is, an ERP implementation is a change management opportunity also to think about how you run, how you lead finance. And that's what we are doing at the moment. Effectively, in 3 months, we want to go live with an ERP implementation.
Hi, it's Jack. On today's episode, we speak to Clemente Cohen, CFO of PG Forsta. CFO Clemente Cohen's finance career began in the early 1990s inside the Munich offices of Silicon Graphics, approximately 6,500 miles from the Silicon Valley company's headquarters and 7,500 miles from Cohen's birthplace in Argentina. This transcontinental start marked the beginning of a career defined by global problem solving, adaptability, and generous helpings of M&A experience. You'll hear that story and much more on today's episode. We'll begin after this. CFOs and controllers, does expense management feel like a necessary evil? It's time to switch to Brex. Brex automates and accelerates spend management with easy-to-use corporate cards, travel, expense management, and bill pay, all on one AI-powered platform. Brex makes it easy to boost efficiency and compliance enterprise-wide and free up your managers, employees, and accounting team for higher impact work. Top companies from startups to enterprises are using Brex to automate manual work and transform their finance operations. We're talking DoorDash, Robinhood, Airtable, and countless other industry leaders. Ready to join them? Switch to AI-powered spend management at Brex.com. Hello, we're speaking with Clemente Cohen, CFO of PG Forsta. Clemente, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me here.
So, as always, Clemente, we're going to ask you to look back. And what we're interested in are those specific experiences that you feel it prepared you to become a finance leader, a corporate finance leader. What comes to mind for you?
Looking back in my career, it evolved, was not really a plan. I started really as an accountant. You could argue, reconciling books, intercompany accounts, closing the books. And from a career perspective, while, the beginning was difficult, it provides you the base of understanding how finance works. Yeah. And, today I know in my role as a CFO of a mid-sized large company, how finance develops, what the applications, the IT products are that you need, and the process that you need to be successful. I know what it means to reconcile books, to close the books, to create reporting. And that is, it's a base that I don't want to miss. And I feel it's very important for finance leaders, not just to be strong with the strategy and the way how they analyze data or they prepare the PowerPoint presentations, but understand the ground of finance and how information gets, developed and created within the company.
Well, that's a great opener for us. I just want to point out you were at Silicon Graphics for close to a dozen years, if I have that right.
Yes.
It might be more. And
and CA Technologies for another 8. So really a tech veteran going from way back. You were at Silicon Graphics. I really want to talk to you about this chapter. It was even a Silicon Valley glamorous company back in the
Right.
90s. One we seldom hear about anymore, but people with like the Ed McCracken and Jim Clark were associated with it.
You recognize the names.
The It company for a good number of years. How did you begin building your career there?
I mean, it's very funny. At the end of the day, I was not a technology person from a education perspective. I was born in South America. I grew up in Germany, where I studied business and administration in the University of Munich, and then really looking for the first job, and that's probably sometimes it's the most difficult job to get because you're one of a lot of applicants. And Silicon Graphics and the subsidiary in Munich offered me the opportunity to work in accounting. And I was never planning to stay in the company for 12 years. But like you said, was a growing company, fast growing company. They were leading the technology on the computer and visualization side of the house, that I started to appreciate more and more the technology in general. And with the growth of the company, it opens opportunities for me to proceed my career. So when I started, like any graduate, Jack, you think about you will stay in a company 1-2 years and then they see what happens. And then I really spent in the company more than 12 years. And I left the company as the international CFO, effectively all non-US international, finance operations, but also, supporting the business operation were reporting to me.
And again, you lived through some ups and some downs. I have to imagine some restructurings. When you're first in your early years, though, as you mentioned, it's all about growth.
Now, looking back, from a company perspective, the company was the leading technology provider. There was almost no competition. Yeah, so they had the momentum, the product, the technology, and what it was really impressive, the focus on growth and the expansion of the business extremely aggressively, because it was very easy to win business. The industry, the market was open for the technology. You had the pricing power, you had the market, the TAM, and today I have to say was very interesting learning to support the business in growing. So it was all about growth. Profitability was there because at that time, pricing was very high. Gross margins were high in the business. So how do you support as a finance and operations business partner or leader the business to grow? Setting the groundwork of setting legal entities. How do you approach the expansion in other countries, in other markets? At that time was Eastern Europe. Then how you go to Asia Pacific. And that's all areas that, the company was very fast and very focused in implementing. And you as a finance leader, you have to support and building up the structure and enable the business then to do business where you see the market today or at that time. Yeah. And then career-wise for me is with the growth, I had the opportunity very, very fast to work with the finance leaders in the country, in Germany. And then they gave me the opportunity to work 1 year in the UK, in England, as a European analyst. And there where you win visibility and you work with people that make the decisions in the region. And that's why, they helped me then to go back to Germany as effectively as the European controller the Germany controller, Germany CFO.
It doesn't sound like you ever struggled with being identified as an accountant. It looks like pretty quickly you were put on assignments as a financial analyst, or, we're growing quickly. We need to understand better what the costs should be associated here and why they're not matching up. I mean, the nature of what you were doing wasn't just reporting or doing the accounting, overseeing the accounting.
I think what I did well is, I'm always saying, running the extra mile, showing your interest, the curiosity, and trying to provide extra support, whether it's to your finance leaders or functional leaders or the business. Where there was an opportunity to do more work, I raised my hand and I did the work. And that's where you get the visibility and respect from your peers and your managers. And again, whether it's a functional manager or a business partner. And then, what happens as a manager, then, if there's another opportunity to come up, you always reach out to the people that you know. And then over time, they knew me. I was one of the people that they used to reach out. And that's why automatically the opportunities will come up, especially at the beginning of Silicon Graphics, when the company was growing so nicely. There was no lack of opportunities. It was, it's more for the employee to take advantage of the opportunities and to show the willingness, again, to run the extra mile.
Eventually, of course, you join CA, and you do so, I think, in the UK. And then, of course, we know you're in the stateside today. Can you tell us a little bit about was that always part of the plan? I mean, were you always looking at global opportunities? Did you want to live in different parts of the world? What was your mindset? I would imagine it was the career opportunity more than anything, though.
I think it was both. Look, I mean, because of my background that, I grew up in Latin America and Argentina, moving to Germany, you speak the languages. You are interested in international opportunities, and you're becoming a little bit an obvious candidate for international opportunities. One, again, because you speak the languages, but also because you know how to work and adapt in different cultures. You know how to speak with different cultures. It's not just the words, it's the how you communicate. So I wanted to do this from the beginning. And I joined CA as the European CFO, effectively supporting, all European countries and the European regions. And was mainly sales support and services support. And why I decided to join CA is because I saw earlier already, I saw the industry shifting from hardware that we had in the Silicon Graphics, the workstation servers, to software. The value creation, the importance in the IT environment became more and more software. Started with infrastructure and then applications. And CA offered me the opportunity to work with them, to use my experience running an international organization and transforming a finance or supporting the transformation of a business organization while I had the opportunity to learn software. That is quite a unique business as such, yeah.
You mentioned language skills, and I think storytelling skills come into play here as well. Were you always able to tell the story behind the numbers? Some finance leaders would tell us that's something they've really had to work on as they advanced upward.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting comment. Look, I mean, during your career at the beginning, let's be honest, you're nervous. You're seeing the numbers, and what you do effectively when you prepare a template, you're showing the numbers, you repeat what everybody can see in the template. And over time, you learn based on how people are asking you the questions, you preempt the questions. So you don't talk about the numbers as such. You tell the story, how the numbers are coming together. They came together from a business perspective, and what are the learnings and the insight that you have. And today, after so many years of experience, so many presentations, I'm a big promoter for a CFO, almost talking without numbers. And if, as one of uniqueness from my leadership style, when I work with the business, I try to use as less slides as possible, as less numbers as possible, but with your own words, explain the performance of the company, the status of the company, the good things, the challenging things that are going on within the company. And I learned that for non-finance leaders or business people, the words are telling much more than the numbers. You need always numbers, but the words are telling more, and they will learn more about the business while you explain and not just report a number.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you for that. Curious when you decide, and again, I guess you're at CA, and again, you're overseeing CFO of the international piece of it.
Yes.
And when is it that you say, okay, it's time, I want that I want the top spot. I'll be the CFO. And there were opportunities in America, or what happened exactly?
What happened is, and that's a little bit, part of my career. Like you touched this a little bit. I didn't have like a career path where I said I want to become a CFO for a US technology company. Obviously, you want to progress in your career, but I was in Germany, I was in Europe. You think at different levels, to be totally honest. And I was very happy with my work at CA. And talking about mentorship and, coach, a sponsor for your career. After 3 years in Europe, the corporate CFO of the company of CA, it's a Fortune 500 company at the time, Nancy Cooper, she reached out to me and she said, we are shifting the strategy of the company. We want to do more M&A, but, we don't want to have just, I'm saying this respectfully, strategic people making the decisions. We want to have people that understand the operations. So do you want to come to the US? And then all of a sudden, with my family, my wife and 2 kids, 2 boys, we came to New York, to the US, and for 2 years, and my task was really to help the business with the M&A process, identifying the companies, the products, the business that we can acquire, but most importantly was my role to integrate them into the company. So it was a totally shift from a very operational job that I had for the first 15 years of my career to becoming more and more, involved in the strategy of the company.
So the post-merger side of things, which relate to so much more than operations or finance, it's really the company cultures come into play, management styles come into play. I always ask whether it was a recruiter who allowed you to step into a CFO role for the first time, or was it your network? How does that happen? Yeah.
No, what happened then, when we did at the end, after 2 years, I became 3-4 years in the US with Computer Associates. And then, I wanted to become a CFO. And there was, for the first time, really almost like my initiative that I reach out to people and to recruiters. I didn't have the network yet, so it's a learning also is build your network. I didn't have the network, and I started to look for an opportunity to become a CFO. Is it possible? And then, go through the process and get your first job and learn. At the end, being the finance leader in the company, not always rely on the one leader, the CFO, but being the person. And that's what happened when I decided to move from public companies, Computer Associates, then also to go more to private-owned company, private equity-owned portfolio companies that I did my first job.
Any hesitation? These are smaller companies. You were with these large companies. Tell us about it. Was there any hesitation or?
Oh, it was huge hesitations and fear almost, because, when you work in a large company, there's some level of comfort as well. You work a lot and, you have a lot of support, an important company. And while you might want to go to the next level, you still feel supported and protected. I'm saying this by a very large corporation. But I felt that, and I had long conversations with my wife, I felt that I had to make the move. And to make the move is almost you go back to a smaller company where at the end you need to become more hands-on again, and the focus on cash management becomes much more important than in a large public company like Computer Associates. Yeah.
Quickly mention that you've had multiple CFO tours of duty. The latest, of course, is at PG Forsta, and let's find out about this company. And we might have a few more career-related questions a little later, but tell us about PG Forsta. What is this company about today? What are its offerings?
Now, PG Forsta, I'm always trying to explain, 25 years ago, Press Ganey at the time was really a patient survey company, paper company. If you remember, probably a long time ago, you went to the doctor, you went to an hospital, you used to get the beautiful questionnaires, and you had to tell you whether you were happy with the services, the care that they provided to you, what they can do better, what they did, excellent way. And the company really, from providing these surveys in paper form and evaluating over the last 20 years, become from paper to phone, and today to a technology company. From phone to applications, and today we have a unified technology platform with the right solutions in experience, where the company came from healthcare, with healthcare employees or patients, like we are. Patients means clients, but also in non-health and commercial business, where we support companies in the customer experience, customer service. Now you buy a new product, you go to Home Depot, you buy something, you get to an hotel, you receive the email or the message today with your questionnaires. These are solutions that we are providing to our customers. So, and it's quite interesting. That's what intrigues me into the company, how our CEO, Pat Ryan, really led the company, transformed the company several times, and to become now a leading technology provider in the areas that I mentioned, the areas of survey, whether it's or experience, whether it's in the healthcare business or the commercial business. And now, with the merger with Forsta, was an experience company more in the commercial, non-healthcare side of the house with strong technology, combining these companies. That's why we are calling us now PG Forsta, Press Ganey PG and Forsta, PG Forsta.
Yeah. Well, what's the capital structure today of this company? It's led several lives, as you've explained to us. What is the current capital structure of the company?
I mean, the company is owned by private. It's privately owned, and privately owned is private equity owned. I mean, this is owned by large investors, Ares and Leonard Green.
Yeah, and that transaction happened 5 years ago.
The transaction happened 5 years ago.
But help us understand. You step in a year ago. What
Correct.
is the chapter you're helping to open for this company? What is it that you bring, and your milestones will be?
I mean, there's always, as a CFO, is twofold. You look into your finance or the support functions, how you structure yourself, and then you need to look, obviously, how you're supporting the business. And on the finance side is, the company have done a lot of acquisitions over the years, and it, like you mentioned, also changed ownership. Also used to be public, then went private, and then again private. So the focus was really not so much in building, efficient processes, top tier, best class ERP systems. And so my focus for the finance organization, and working also with HR, the back processes, is, we looked into the processes, into the applications, and we decided to implement a new ERP system. And with the ERP system, and improve our process management, network capital management, cash management, but most importantly, also winning more business insights that then also we can share with the business and have a stable backbone. And with this is in ERP implementation is a change management opportunity also to think about how you run, how you lead finance. And that's what we are doing at the moment. Effectively, in 3 months, we want to go live with an ERP implementation.
So this has really happened on your watch.
It's happening on my watch. We started, it's my third job as a CFO. So whether you don't have it in writing, you have like a playbook.
Yeah.
In your mind, in your DNA. And that's one of the areas that I usually always look into this. What are the systems and what we can do? And then from a business perspective, the company, we have very strong technology and a very strong position in the healthcare industry. So the question, or more the task, is really how can we grow? How can we grow faster?
Yeah.
It's you adjust the business model such that is stable, is sustainable for the future. How profitability flows through your balance sheet, your P&L. And I'm trying to support, or I'm supporting the business with my experience, supporting sales and services for years over years, also on an international level, in focusing on growth, and the growth is really I'm calling this the value creation that for a company like PG Forsta. And growth means, be smart and know how you invest in product development and in your product portfolio. And then, be smart and efficient in how you structure your go-to-market approach. If you think about these are the two pillars in a company, and then shifting capital on a day-to-day basis where the growth is, for the growth opportunity is for the company. And a strong finance organization will provide the insight to the business leaders to make the right decisions, to shift capital in the right areas, to track, the return, to build a strategic model, and in a way also becoming through tracking, the governance, making sure that the discipline, everybody's focused and not distracted outside the goal of the company. And for us is delivering new product solutions into the market, and with the sales organization execute on them, sell them.
We're always curious how that visibility is achieved. And again, what you just described, visibility into the product development pipeline, the go-to-market strategy. And again, we hear frequently from finance leaders, we have more than enough data. But when you arrive and you look into have those conversations and you realize there's certain numbers that just aren't available, well, why not? We should have these. Shouldn't this be part of our discussion today during this go-to-market or whatever it might be related to? Why don't we have that? Oh, the data is not quite where it needs to be. So here you are, ERP, huge system. That's a big deal. You're bringing that in, but yet the data lagging behind, and where there's steps that you took. And again, we're here, you're tracking. You keep on saying we're tracking these things. Well, how can you track it if the data's no good? So I'm wondering if there are steps that you took to say, okay, you know what? These numbers are good, but over here it's still fuzzy. What can we do? Can you relate anything to what I just shared?
Yeah, in most of the cases, and not just for PG Forsta, just in general, is you said it's right. Data is usually there. It's just not reconciled or presented in the right way or analyzed in the right way. And the key is to at the beginning, to try to be just very practical and opportunistic. And sometimes depends on for what you're using the data. You don't need to be, and the finance tries always to be 100% accurate. And sometimes the trend or the statistical number can be as powerful as the extremely accurate revenue number. And that's what, at PG Forsta we did. So, with the FP&A team, and we invested a lot in FP&A, right from the day one, is, defined how you can produce as much information as possible, but the right information to help the business, like we described, set the right strategy and make the right decisions. And in certain cases, admit that the information is not 100% accurate, but it's good enough to track and to make decisions. If you always aim to the 100% accuracy, you will be very slow and probably you fail. Sometimes the 80% is sufficient. Yeah. And, it's a joke, but I always like to say the information might be not 100% accurate, but, if you track in a consistent way, the trend is right.
And I'm just curious, again, talking about visibility down to the product level. This is the holy grail for a lot of finance leaders, trying to get that visibility down there. Is this something that you were able to bring some of your FP and A talent to help create that visibility, or no, is that somewhat removed from when you think of product level visibility? And
no, what we did at PG Forsta, based on my background and the companies I work for, I mean, I hired one person I used to work for in the past. Talk about leadership, you're building your network, and sometimes you based on your network, you approach people that you worked for in the past. That I know he's very, very strong in data analytics, data architecture. And then you could argue, is it a finance job? Is it an IT job? Is it an operations job? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you make it accessible to the business. So, and that's one of the learnings. Sometimes, you as a CFO, a finance leader, you need to think outside finance to show value. And that's what we did. So, then, he did a good job in effectively, practically trying from different databases, different applications to bring information together so that we can look into product level information from a product sales, performance, maintenance, but also development cost point of view, so that you can, again, based on the information, you can make the right decisions about your product portfolio. Where do you want to invest? Where do you want to perhaps shift capital from? So it's not perfect. Also, again, I'm only 1 year in the company, but at least, we have the data to talk about and to make decisions on.
Here's a question I've been using lately. You're in the corporate offices. The sales team is having a conference. They filled a conference room up, and there's an empty seat at the end of the table or side of the table. The door swings open, and Clemente takes that seat. What do they think, Clemente? What's going through their minds? He's going to ask us for something. What is this? What is he visiting us for?
You're talking about a sales conference.
There's a sales conversation going on, and Clemente clearly has been invited. What's the topic for conversation?
I think that, talk about sales leaders, they are interested to understand the company, to understand, is the company performing operationally or financial, and what is the strategy of the company. And also very important for any executive, but especially for sales leaders, is to have the open communication and not only talking about the good things that are going on, but show that, as a leader, you are aware of that some things are not going that well, that we are working on, that might not make their life easier, but, we know it. And that's so the open and honest communication. And I think that motivates people when they hear that executives, like you said, at corporate level, they're coming in and they always think, oh my, that's corporate people that, in the offices, that really what is happening, that they get the feeling that what on the day-to-day they're challenged with. And that's what I learned is the most important thing. And also recognizing that, a sales job is a tough job. And I'm not saying this for the sake of, I mean it. It's always easy for finance employees and, support functions to show when we are missing a bookings number or pricing is coming down. I'm always telling my team, you should participate in a negotiation with customers. And then you increase your appreciation for the work of a sales expert, a sales representative in the company.
I like that. Thank you. I'm gonna pull this again on you. I'm gonna say, okay, one door down, your FP&A team is having a meeting, and you step in. What are they thinking you're going to ask them about? What are they thinking to themselves? Oh, Clemente's going to want to get an update. See this. What is it?
I mean, in the beginning, I can talk about PG Forsta. In the beginning, they don't know what you will ask because they don't know you. So they were probably nervous. They're doing a lot of work. and potentially they might not do the work, or they might not present the numbers that you're expecting because they don't know you.
Yeah.
So the most important responsibility and task for a leader is to develop the relationship with your team. You're talking about here the P&A team, so that you learn from them and they understand you, so that hopefully today when I go into the room, they know almost the question that I will ask. And what I'm always saying, preempt the question, or tell me what you want me. And by the way, then you can reflect this to a business leader that is more important than telling me, is telling the business. Tell the business leader what you want them to know and to remember. And in the conversations with FP&A is also, again, similar to sales, but a different level, is show appreciation of the difficulty in collecting the information and preparing the information, especially when you don't have the best systems yet in the company, showing the respect for the work that, people are doing and preparing. And learning from each other. Through questions, you learn. If I ask a question they cannot answer, that's okay. That's great, because next time, hopefully the answer will be included in the reporting package. Means, you can evolve to the next level as an organization.
Nice. Thank you for that. I want to ask you, just touch on AI quickly with you.
Yeah.
What investments, give us a sense of the investments the company has made in AI technologies, and how are these investments expected to impact some of that growth that you're positioning the company for?
This is one, if not the most important question for not just for technology company, for any company. I mean, we can call it AI, or we can call it machine learning, or we can call it the technology in general for other industries, is the evolution. The evolution is around AI, and the PG Forsta, our strength is that we are not just a technology provider, but we own all the data from all of our surveys. So we can provide, we can analyze, we can predict, we can provide information, we can share the learnings of the data. And AI is the key engine to help you effectively to consolidate, to automate, to predict, to use the data that we have in-house, so that the customers really see the value that we are providing from a data perspective, technology, but also business thought leadership. And I can tell you, I cannot share numbers. We are investing an okay number, but we have to invest more. Like any other company, I'm sure there's no technology company that they will not tell you they have to invest more in AI. And AI, in our case, doesn't mean that we are developing our own engines, but using the engines or using our data to come to the right outcome, the right results. And coming back to my role, to finance role, and what we discuss about, providing the information to the business is the how. So we have to invest more. We have to double our investments in AI. Double is just a symbolic number or multiplier. So how do you do this? Where is the money coming from? How you can free up capital so that you shift the capital into your growth areas, and the growth area is AI. And then from there, you're going to monetizing. How do you monetize AI? And I think this is an area where also the key players in the market, they don't know yet how to monetize AI. Everybody knows, including us, that AI is an important, it's a critical a solution, service that you have to provide within your products. But whether you monetize AI or this becomes a part of your platform to support for the business, this is still a little bit of question mark. But again, finance with the capabilities of looking into trends, looking into product, like we discussed, product level information, volumes, where you're selling, will become a strategic partner to the product management organization in setting a pricing policy policy for AI solutions over the future. But AI is any technology company's summary is the question, how you use it, and then on the bed, how you realize the opportunity and how you free up the money and shift capital into the development of those solutions.
Nice. Thank you for that. We're going to jump to what we refer to as our finance strategic moment question. This is where we ask you to look back in time and fish out for us one moment of strategic insight. I know there's been, you've already had a few of these already today, but we're just looking for one that you had a response to, whether it was pursuing an opportunity in finance, or was it a risk that you avoided for a company? Anything come to mind when we ask for a finance strategic moment?
Yeah, in my specific case, and I touched a little bit my experience when I moved from working for Computer Associates, here technology, I moved from Europe, being supporting the field sales and services to the US and being part of corporate. And then all of a sudden, your task is strategy. It's not a day-to-day. It's supporting the strategy of the company. And that's a moment that I will never forget. Was with the chief strategy officer and the chief product officer of the company. They were developing the 5-year product strategy for the company that you have to update on a yearly basis. And the discussion was around applications. And effectively, this chief product officer took his cell phone and he said, "This is the future." And there was already a little bit there, but not to the extent that we have today. And he said, any software company needs to know how to run the process from developing, releasing, managing, maintaining, upgrading applications. And this in the cloud, not in on-premise solutions. So means then, okay, and the company, Computer Associates, was a long-standing software company with large installations, everything on-premise, more about security, infrastructure management. So how do you transform the company become a leader in the application management cycle, life cycle? And that was for me from a strategy perspective to see the visionary view of how people think about the future from a technology perspective. But then for you as a finance leader or a team leader is helping to make it happen. And for finance, making it happen is help them to find the financial capital that is always limited in a company to make the right investments, whether they are organically or inorganically through M&A. And shifting, resources for maintaining all your products to growth products means at the time was application management. Today we take this as a given because everything is about applications. But if you go back 12 years ago, was the beginning.
$37,025.1. These are the 3 numbers to remember to get the visibility and control you need to make the right business decisions instantly. 37,000. That's the number of businesses which have upgraded to NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, streamlining accounting, financial management, inventory, HR, and more. 25. NetSuite turns 25 this year. That's 25 years of helping businesses do more with less, close their books in days, not weeks, and drive down expenses. 1. Because your business is one of a kind, you should get a customized solution for all of your KPIs in one efficient system and with one source of truth. Manage risk, get reliable forecasts, and improve margins. Everything you need, all in one place. Right now, download NetSuite's popular KPI checklist designed to give you consistently excellent performance, absolutely free, at netsuite.com/KPI. That's netsuite.com/KPI.
We're going to jump to our mentoring round where we'll ask you several quick questions intended to inform future finance leaders. So we want you to think back to your first CFO tour of duty when you first stepped into that role, that first 60 days. You had all this experience behind you. You practically wore every hat in finance that there was, and yet you stepped into the role, and there must have been still something, a piece of advice you would have given yourself if you could go back in time now. What is it that you might tell yourself as you stepped into that role and the responsibilities, the C-suite responsibilities fell on your shoulders? Anything?
Yeah, it's a good question. The learning for me is being on the C-level effectively, as the CFO, where all of a sudden you are the leader. There's nobody above you, and you make the decisions and you take full ownership. And while this is what you're aiming for and you work for in the beginning of your career or mid of your career to get there one day, the real experience you will make, or the real awareness, or the reality will catch you when you have the role. And people are looking into you, and you are the responsible person, and everybody's looking at you to make, there's no excuse. There's no room for excuse because you are in the leadership and you're one of the top people in the company. And that was an area that, I learned, I had to learn and go through. And then, it's listening. The most important thing that I would say is, after my first job is you are so motivated after the first job that you want to make things happen fast. And if I would, today when I joined like PG Forsta, you slow down, a little bit more, you listen, you try to understand better the company, the history, the culture, the people. And before you start try to show impact or influence. Am I answering your question?
Yes, nice. We always like to ask our guests to reflect a little on the personal side. We're wondering if there's something a lot of your colleagues might not know about you, something from your past, something, I don't know, you lived on 3 continents. I'm sure there are lots of different experiences that you've had that many people don't know, but anything come to mind, something interesting about your life. And
what most of my peers probably don't know that, I really like fishing is one of my hobbies, and I love fly fishing.
Fly?
Yeah, fly fishing. And that's are the moments, when you have the type of jobs, you're always looking for the hobby or the time when you can forget your day-to-day responsibilities. Doesn't happen too often. But when I have the opportunity to go out to a river, or if it's in the sea, I'm in Long Island, New York, you go fishing in the sea. It's not fly fishing, but it's fishing. So the moments where almost, it takes me half an hour and then I really almost forget my job. And on fly fishing, it's just fly fishing. What I like is, getting prepared for the day. Do you have your equipment in place? How does the day look like? How's the nature? How does the nature look or is where you're going fishing, where you didn't go there for the first time? And you need to get ready properly so you have a funny day fishing and you're just always looking for the right equipment, or realizing you forgot something at home, because fly fishing means walking, a lot of walking. You walk.
It's solitary in some way, though, isn't it? I mean, it's very often
Yes.
you get that space, I imagine.
Yeah, you can do this with people afterwards, but usually you do this solitary, because if you have too many people, the fish will swim away.
Yeah.
Especially when you start making no jokes and laughing and drinking.
Do fly fishermen, do they mostly all make their own flies, or what is the?
Yeah, no, I'm not at that level of enthusiastic.
Okay.
That I buy my flights. As a CFO, I can afford buying the flights. They're very nice. I don't have to do right. But what I like is really then, almost like, being prepared. And then when you catch your first fish, and it can be a very small trout, doesn't matter. It's almost you're winning. It's almost like a sport, like almost, I caught you. And that's what I love to do. And people, when they see me day to day in the office, being active, talking, helping to make the right decisions, they will not realize that Clemente can be a very solitary person on a weekend and trying to catch a trout somewhere.
One last quick question just crossed my mind. Did you fly fish in Europe as much as you do in the U.S., or was it always with you?
I learned fly fishing when I was working in Europe as a European CFO for. I think I started for Silicon Graphics.
Yeah.
Because in England, fly fishing is very popular because they have a lot of rivers. And my wife, she gave me like a birthday present, the first rod. And she said that I think this is a good sport for you. And then later on, I spent a lot of time fishing in England. And then later on, because I'm from Argentina, I started also to go to Argentina, to the Patagonias for fishing.
We always like to ask if you have a book recommendation for us. It doesn't have to be a business book. It might be something you escape with. Anything. It might be a podcast, might be a resource of some kind that you've begun listening to, or anything.
You know what? I didn't read the book. I listened to the book. I like to walk with my dog, and sometimes walking with the dog or running with the dog, and then listening to a book is very, very, very relaxing for me. And I listened to Arnold Schwarzenegger's last book. It was his life.
Yeah.
I forgot the title. Be Useful, I think is. And he's coming from. He was born in Austria.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I left. I spent a lot of time, 15 years of my life in Germany. So they are not where small town where he was not so far away from Munich. And so I always like them to listen to his way of speaking and dialect, very strong Austrian dialect, by the way, in German. But most importantly, why the book was so interesting for me is how the willingness of, or the passion of, becoming something special in life, from why he became from living in a small town in Austria, he wanted to become a world champion bodybuilder. Because it's the way that he felt, it's the only way that he felt for him to leave his town and be successful. And then from bodybuilding to become one of the most successful actors. Because this was not enough. He found a new goal, and he was not afraid of focusing and targeting the goal, and he made it happen. Where a lot of people said, you as a bodybuilder, with your German English like mine, how can you become a successful actor? And he became one of the most successful comedians in the US. And then more crazy that you would say, he wanted to go to politics, and he made it happen again. And while you listen to the book, he never accepted an excuse, because not everything went well in his life. He had also some difficult experiences, but he always stood up and tried again, and made it happen. And that is so aspirational. I'm not saying that one day I will want to become a governor in New York State. But, on a smaller level, like for us normal people, is you just need to try. You need to try to make it happen. Don't look always for the excuse.
Yeah.
And
it's the mindset that he had.
It's mindset, and be active, and pursue your dreams. And that was so aspirational for me that I gave the books to my two boys to listen, because there's always, especially when you're coming from it, there's always a reason to find the excuse why it couldn't happen.
Yeah, but that is a singular career path. No, there's nothing that can compare to. That's for sure. And how did that happen? Yeah. So the mindset. I'm sorry we ran long, but we're up to our final question. We want you to look forward finally, and we're wondering what your priorities are as a CFO over the next 12 months. What are those priorities for you?
For me, it's like you could argue should be almost for any CFO or finance executive is, I mentioned in the beginning, it's a big change management exercise in my own organization, implementing a new ERP system, adjusting processes, and making it happen, providing the information in the first time. That's very tactical, but very important. And the key is how to become a efficient and an impactful business partner to the business. that's, a good CFO is, should wake up in the morning and think about, how can I help the business? And helping the business doesn't mean to tell them where they missed the number, they exceeded the number. So how can you provide the information, how you can surprise the business with your new analytics and trends that helps us to make the company more successful, whatever it means. In our case, it's growth. And like in any company should be aiming growth. But how to make it happen, and that's very important through a proper budget process, strategy model for the next 5 years. Communicating this back to the investors, shifting capital in the right areas. But these are the day-to-day goal, or in my opinion, responsibility for CFO is how can you help your business partners.
Clemente Cohen, thank you for joining us on CFO Thought Leader.
Thank you very much.
Hello, listeners. Jack here. I hope you've been enjoying some of our recent CFO Thought Leader episodes. To better serve you, we need your feedback. And our 2024 listener survey is now live. What do you like about CFO Thought Leader? What don't you like about CFO Thought Leader? This is what we call continuous improvement. We want to serve you better, but we can only do that by hearing from you. You'll find our 2024 survey right on the nav bar at cfothoughtleader.com. To demonstrate our gratitude, survey takers will receive a $10 savings coupon on the purchase of our new book, The CFO 500. Take the survey and the coupon is yours. Please help us serve you better. And as always, thank you for listening.